and the title is Quantum Education and Capacity Building for the Future Workforce. As we all know, workforce is key to making this go, right? Having an enabled global quantum-ready workforce is the key. Hardware and software certainly are important, but if you don't have smart people helping build these solutions and running these businesses, it's going to be very challenging. So I want to introduce the speakers. Professor Hisham Sati, Founding Director, Center for Quantum and Topological Systems at NYU Abu Dhabi, and Hakan Gokalp, Education Research Accounts Lead at Amazon Web Services. The panel is going to be moderated by none other than Malak, Trabelsi, Loeb, CEO of Vernewell Group. So gentlemen, please join me on stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good to see you back. And my panel is with a partner and a person of great professionalism and expertise, been working with since some time under the Q Innovation Consortium, who is driving quantum technologies. Actually, the first educational institution driving quantum technologies in the UAE, and he is the founding director of the Center for Quantum and Topological Systems, CQTS, and also he is the Associate Dean of Science, NYU, New York University, Abu Dhabi. Professor Hisham Sati, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Malak. It's a great pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And also we are joined by another great person who I met probably once before during the Quantum Innovation Summit, and I heard a lot of things about him, and he's here based in the UAE.
Thank you.
He's the Education and Research Account Lead for Amazon Web Services, AWS, Hakan Gokalp. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
So actually, the Fireside chat is about quantum education and capacity building for the future workforce. Maybe we hear so much of talk about these kind of topics around, but I think we talked or we saw earlier the previous presentation about sovereignty. And so many people, when we talk about sovereignty, they talk about technology and how we need to have the technological sovereignty in order to spare issues and hiccups when it comes to export controls and others in a ever-changing world and political turmoil. So the other aspect of sovereignty is capacity. It's the human who are involved in these technologies as another aspect of a great component in this big roadmap that universities and companies and research centers, they look into in order to make sure that we have our capabilities. These capabilities are involved in different technologies that have impact on national security, are protected with the right capacity. So capacity building is one of the greatest topic that when we talk about quantum technologies, because when Vernewell started in 2020, it was one of the biggest problem for us to find the proper people who can join us and do that. And thanks to the partnerships we had with different partners, and one of them is the Center for Quantum and Topological Systems, we were able to move forward and do it. So my first question will be, it's not a question, but I spoke a lot about you, Professor Hisham, is to introduce yourself a little bit better and to say what the center is about and what you are doing.
Thank you so much, Malak. Indeed, it's been a great partnership that we had together under Q Innovation. It's a great pleasure to be here and to see this very interesting, fruitful discussion between academia, industry, and also the public sector. It's a great pleasure to see this. Indeed, as Malak said, we had a vision early on about the same timeline. 2020 is when we proposed the center. 2021, when it started, it was launched. and 2022 was in full throttle. And we started really from scratch in terms of academic in quantum. We started from scratch both in NYUAD and probably all around in the country as well. Of course, around the same time, TII was also running in parallel and building a very impressive infrastructure on the research side. So on the academic side, we've been emphasizing education as one of 4 pillars. So our perspective is that education cannot run by itself. It has to be coupled with research, with connection to industry, and with outreach as well. And those are 4 pillars that we push in our center. We have had very successful educational programs in our center, both at the curricular level. So we have 2 courses on quantum computing, in addition to a lot of courses that involve quantum, of course. We are working on a graduate program. We got a lot of interest from students asking us when our graduate program will be launched, hopefully soon. That's very exciting. We have a training program for students in research. We have trained over 100 students in various ways during the semester and also during the summer. In the summer, we have a dedicated program for our students and NYUAD students, as well as students from outside the university, from any university in the UAE. And that's been a great partnership to be able to do capacity building, not just for our own students at NYUAD, but also other students across the UAE. We also have a dedicated program for Emirati students called the Kawader program, where we take Emirati students who at least have a bachelor's and appoint them either as research assistants or if they have a doctorate as postdocs, and that has been very enriching. Of course, among our activities, we have a lot of we have 2 weekly seminars and many workshops. We have several conferences, several of them jointly with Malak as well. We have the Quantum Industry Day, of course, making connection to industry, also with Malak. That has been very successful, bringing in many leading companies, some of whom are here. Should we tie the list? IBM, Pascal, Microsoft, Kipu, who else? TII as well, ID Quantique, Classic, Pascal. Yeah, essentially everybody who is here. So we are very grateful for that. We also have outreach programs as well. We certainly have the Quantum Hackathon, which is the first in the UAE. We started it in 2022, and it's been a great success since the first time. We bring in experts and students and judges and hackers from all around the world. And of course, it exposes our students here in all of the UAE. We get a lot of students from outside the university as well to get exposed to that kind of expertise. So this is a snapshot of the kind of activities that we do. We also send our researchers and our experts outside as well. Now we're able to send them to hackathons outside the one that we have. Some of our researchers are back there, Amaria and Nuhaila. So they've been doing a great job in supporting hackathons in the region. One in Lebanon was the first one in Egypt, as well as running courses on quantum computing outside the campus. And we have the SpinQ system. As a first, we also had the first quantum educational lab in the UAE, probably in the region. And it uses the SpinQ system. It's been very successful. We put it to good use. Also, Amaria is in charge of that. And we use it for workshops that we run in the university. We use it for high school students who come and visit. And we use it for training the students for the quantum hackathon itself.
And the list goes on, actually.
And the list goes on and
There's
on.
one thing about the center, and Professor Hisham, actually, he was working in silence until I came over and I told him we need to go everywhere and publicize what you are doing, because it's very, very important. Awareness is key. And talking about awareness is key, and democratizing education. First of all, I would like for Hakan to introduce yourself, and then you go deep dive into what AWS is doing, okay, in general when it comes to quantum, because actually probably maybe we have some people coming from the maritime industry, and it's important to introduce that.
Thank you, Malak, and thank you for having me today. I'm responsible for managing the relationship with research and education accounts across Abu Dhabi. I'm also based in Abu Dhabi, and part of my role also involves accelerating AWS's message in quantum technologies across UAE as well. So I'm supporting our efforts in quantum technologies. But today I want to focus on what we do with education institutions, what we do with research institutions and industry alignment. The landing page for us on quantum education is AWS Skill Builder website. So this is available for everyone. You know, this is accessible globally, and part of our quantum training on accessing our managed service, Amazon Bracket training, is available there. This is my suggestion. You know, this is where we start. But, you know, with regards to working together with education institutions, you know, we're proud to support New York University, Abu Dhabi last year with the hackathon. So Professor Hisham and I, we would like to continue that conversation. Also in UAE, we have a quantum technologies collaboration agreement with Technology Innovation Institute in Abu Dhabi. That's been active for 2 years now, where TII has access to Amazon Bracket service, you know, and the quantum computers available through that service. We also support TII with workshops, you know, with online training, and also we're very grateful for the feedback we're receiving from them with regards to our Amazon Bracket service, so that we continue to improve that. Speaking of collaboration, working together with universities, until I have a better example from the UAE, I have to go back to US and give an example there. So last year, we collaborated with University of Washington on a program called Accelerating Quantum-Enabled Training, Technology Training. So this collaboration specifically involved working with PhD students on working on quantum approximate optimization algorithm. So this algorithm is used also in maritime industry as well: route optimization, fuel optimization, design optimization, and just-in-time delivery. And so in that program, we provided PhD students mentorship from our own researchers and specialists. I think, you know, the best outcomes come together when we have scientists, engineers, and business people who work together, and that was a very good example of that. Out of the 6 projects, AWS sponsored one of these projects, and as part of this, they were able to access Bracket, evaluate Bracket, and by following Amazon Bracket digital learning plan, you know, they also got their digital badge. So moving forward, for universities, you know, who would like to have quantum computing in their curriculum, we have sample workbooks. You know, we have education material on using actually using Bracket and quantum computers, right? You know, the best way to learn quantum computing is to actually do something on quantum computing, you know, useful use cases. And we provide these example notebooks for an interactive classroom experience. So there's quite a lot going on.
That's a lot. But there is one thing I would like to touch upon, which is the industry also, because when we talk about education, most of the people, they go to academia. And there's another part of the whole ecosystem building is the education when it comes to upskilling. Executives who are in the industry who would be really interesting to get them exposed to the technology from an educational perspective. So to make an informed decision or to help get them involved hands-on in the technology, whether we're talking about project management up to the real solution that it is done on the cloud. So how about that? Did you are you working in the UAE? If you have some examples, and what are the offering that AWS is creating for those kind of target stakeholders?
Well, this is doing it in the UAE is something we're looking forward to. That's one of my responsibilities. 8 years in AWS. I started in UAE actually, 17, 19, before going back to Europe, and then I came back last year. This is my passion, and I really would like to move this forward. But until that happens, obviously the education institutions, universities, research institutions, they would like to see quantum computers, Amazon brackets, and sometimes there are budgetary challenges. And in order to alleviate such challenges, we also have AWS Cloud credits for research. So we provide credits to accredited universities, research institutions, against the use case, access to AWS systems, and provide credits as such. And until that happens, I want to also go back to an example from Europe. So both Airbus and BMW are AWS's public customers. So there are many use cases on the internet. And so last year we supported the joint quantum computing challenge with Airbus and BMW. And the TII also was a participant there, and also they submitted a solution to one of the challenges. And we supported likes of University of Hamburg, the Technical University of Delft in Netherlands, and University of Southern California. So the Technical University of Delft, they won it by with a carbon fiber structure design, so materials design. And the University of Southern California, they won the challenge with smart coating. So if I might wrap it up, for education institutions, we do provide an easy pathway through the credits program, and I'm really looking forward to collaborating with education institutions and industry here in the UAE to make that AWS, Airbus, BMW challenge a reality in UAE as well. And the future is closer than we think.
Well, I would like to highlight something. Probably, I'm not sure if you are aware or not, because the first challenge, industry challenge, happened in the UAE, was a part of the Quantum Innovation Summit 2025. We launched that in 2024. And also, and this is maybe a surprise, the provider who gave free credit to those who made it to the finals was AWS, your team.
That's amazing, okay.
So we had that and we brought it over, and now we are running another challenge, which is a totally different model. And this model is Abu Dhabi ports, the Abu Dhabi Maritime Academy and Vernewell. We created a challenge, and this industry challenge is to go for problems that are being solved using AI. And we received the KPIs, or we got to the KPIs of what was achieved through the AI solution. And the idea was to ask these industries from the quantum industry to participate in the challenge and be able to either reach the same or exceed. And then the whole process, I'm not going to go through it, but the idea was, how can we show value that what quantum computing or quantum inspired are offering in order for the investors are able to put money there. So this one is two-folded. The first is strategic, when we talk about investments and showcase what can quantum bring in comparison to AI. So it's not benchmarking against the companies themselves. So it's a kind of benchmarking against the results reached through the AI in order to push a little bit for the investments injection into the quantum industry. And the second point also is to have partnerships ongoing or potential partnership with the group, because it's a fertile environment for adoption of the technologies.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. So having said that, it's important now to ask Professor Hisham, and I know how you work, and it's very nice and smooth, and we find always solution. But working with academia from the industry side, it's really can be very, very difficult and challenging. So what do you think the best way how academia can work with the industry in order to create new research centers, new initiatives and others, without going through all the 9 yards of going through bureaucracy and all the issues that can happen with academia when it comes to projects with industry?
Yes, a very good question. On the side of academia, I think it starts with training our students with the right knowledge that's needed for industry. We're going in that direction. In fact, putting my other hat on as Associate Dean, we had a visit from the accreditation agency a couple of weeks ago, and they were asking us, do you have courses that are co-designed or co-taught by industry partners? We didn't have many, but we're as a university. So we're going in that direction as a university, and certainly with the center, it's something that we should consider, having courses joint with industry. We talked with my colleague here about possibly doing that. That would be very exciting, doing some of the things that you've done in Washington and other places. It would be very exciting, and it would be part of our mission. That would be on the educational side. On the actual implementation side, of course, cases of the type that you are leading and pursuing, that's excellent starting point. And those cases would be seeds for further partnerships, for further collaboration, and perhaps from that one can see, depending on the partners, how the partnership will take shape. Could be in the form of a project, could be in the form of a center, of an institute, and depending on how big the problems are. But we're certainly placing ourselves in that direction.
What I find it fascinating, because you found the problem and you created the solution for it, which is the independency somehow with the center, that you were able to conduct various activities within the center, under the Center of Species, in order to make it happen. So you did not wait for creating the curricula and all these kind of elements that needed time and needed a lot of bureaucracy in order to. So you found it in a way that it's easy to deal with industry.
Certainly, it would have delayed things considerably if we kept waiting for curricular matters to develop. Currently, we're waiting for our graduate program, but we're waiting, but we're also not waiting because we're doing things about it. To your point, we're running courses, we're running modules, we're running training programs, we're working on problems, and that should be the case, thinking in terms of what is effective and what's efficient for that purpose.
That's great. So now I would be yielding back to Hakan, and it's important about cloud access. It's very important about it to think about it more and more, that it is democratizing education. So can you highlight the importance of the cloud access to democratizing education, and how you would see your AWS getting more and more, not for the UAE only, but elsewhere, where there is at least internet connection and so many young people who are willing to learn quantum.
I think the key word here is democratizing access, and AWS being a cloud computing company, we provide access to computing resources to anyone who has an internet connection. And Amazon Bracket is our quantum computing service. With Bracket, the AWS users have immediate access to quantum computers from our partners, and these quantum computers can be based on different technologies. You know, we have IonQ, we have IQM, you know, we have Rigetti. We also have QERA, so depending on you know, which type of architecture, you know, you want to try your use case on, you want to build your use case on, so that is available. And the quantum computers are also, to some, could be expensive or not easily accessible technology. And we also have simulators. So we have, you know, different simulators, from simple simulators that can run on your laptop to simulators which require a lot more classical computing resources. And like anything else, you know, rather than going and buying your own quantum computer, you know, if that's the right thing for your use case, of course you should. But if you want to know more about the technology, if you're testing out the technology, if you're getting ready for the technology, you know, for the suitability of the technology, what AWS brings you is access to this. And so speaking of students, you know, who want to develop themselves on quantum computing, so AWS free tier, you know, which we provide to anyone who opens an account. You have a certain limited amount of access to our quantum computer simulators, so you can actually try and test out your use cases there. And for students who are actively researching on cloud, on quantum computing, you know, the AWS Cloud Credit for Research, which I mentioned, you know, it's not only available for research institutions, you know, for students, you know, who have a valid, reviewed and approved use case for their studies, they can get up to $5,000 worth of credits.
That's great. Actually, now I'm not going to wear the hat of the moderator anymore. I'm going to be here in order to introduce something. And this news is has been cooking for some time, and this is the first time I make it public. Actually, starting from tomorrow, we would be having access to a new application. Well, it's not new. We entered into a partnership with Classic, and actually you will have access in the region through Vernex platform, powered by Classic. So I'm not sure if you, who is familiar with Classic and their platform? So good bet. The rest, have you, were you here when near Minerbi he introduced Classic platform? So for those who are not here, I encourage you to reach out to the team. They are around. And like I said, starting from tomorrow, we have access to Classic via Vernex platform. And this will help capacity building, institutions and companies who are working on different kind of solutions like optimizations and other, to have various libraries of these solutions. And you don't need to be quantum physicist to work on it. if you are a coder, you're fine, and the secret of Classic platform is the compiler, that it can translate to the language of the hardware that you want to work on, which are integrated. It goes from IBM, IonQ, up to others. And AWS, they are partners also over there. So what I see here, I see a complete partnership that it can be created with different stakeholders for one goal, is capacity building, education, because without the capacity building and education, there will not be the industry. And this is one of the most important part. The work of Professor Hisham is very, very important, because at the end of the day, who will be the workforce in order to work on it? So we need to have them. And the partnership of AWS is very important, and because you are one of the providers, all other providers. So in order to build this ecosystem in a way that it's not only events and talk and leave, and to have actionable outcome that can be input into place, is very important to work together in order to have this happening. I would like to ask one more question, is how do you envision the future of education and also upskilling for the next 5 years? Do you think that we will achieve X number of, for example, people who will be, for example, let's say, I'm not going to say exactly if they will be engineers or others, but who are aware when a board member asks them, or the board asks them in their company, first of all, about a project involving quantum. Do you think that we will have enough people to answer around the region and not only UAE? Because your work is crucial, and this is very important. At least we can have a pledge.
Yes, definitely. It is on us to do so. We saw yesterday in the talks of Dr. Nasser, Dr. Yasser, and Dr. Dimitri, they outlined the priorities, and it's on us, academia, and to some extent industry, to go in that direction. There was also a discussion that not enough training is happening in that area, and it's also on us to provide that training. I think in the future, what should happen, in my view, is students should be learning a lot of interdisciplinary skills. They should not just be learning quantum computing. They should know other things as well. In our center, it's a consortium of 6 different departments: computer science, computer engineering, chemistry, physics, math, and mechanical engineering. And also in the future, I envision that there's going to be a lot more collaboration between universities themselves, that the borders between universities is going to be removed to some degree. We're already seeing some of that. I can give examples in the future, near future. So
you have some news that you are keeping.
Exciting things are happening, yes.
And for you, Hakan?
In Amazon, we have what we call a working backwards methodology. We envision a future where we want to be, and then we work backwards from there. So this is called the working backwards methodology. So we have a vision for the future, 2030, 2035, when we will need this workforce. And then we're looking at a hybrid quantum and classical education system where we have virtual labs integrated with actual, hands-on labs with classical learning, real-time access to quantum computers with, AWS enabling this. And we talked about democratization of access to quantum computers. So the need for a platform, the benefits of pay-as-you-go for certain use cases where it makes sense, mentorship through industry experts, through AWS and other members of the industry, certification programs to show training, ongoing professional training, integrating with the industry. So these are important, and sometimes the needs of the industry it doesn't necessarily align with the people coming out of the education, and it's important that that hands-on training is also available. And it's not just the education institutions, universities, who carry the responsibility on their shoulders alone. the industry also needs to help with the workforce training, like training, helping with the industry-specific use cases. These are my problems. Let's solve together. Ongoing continuous training. And also, there are a lot of people, haven't really trained on quantum computing. Are we going to get rid of them? No. There needs to be a transition path for people bringing the classical, the hands-on experience on business. So we envision there will be new roles coming. New roles will be created. Quantum software engineers, quantum algorithm designers. We're still at the early stages of quantum algorithms. Quantum system integrators. Quantum security specialists. I was having this conversation during lunch, and application consultants. We will onboard new ways of educating using AI, VR for quantum circuit simulation, things like that. And we also, if I may wrap up, yesterday we touched on the need for getting the regulations ready. So the responsibility is with the education to get the people the right technical skills and academic background, industry to give them the hands-on real-life skills, and also the society working together on addressing the quantum skills gap, making sure that there's equitable access. Not everybody comes from privileged backgrounds, right? But a lot of, yesterday we had a wonderful story from our own region who got the Nobel Prize in chemistry. And making access to quantum technologies available for everyone. And finally, I also plea the authorities in public sector. They need to consider funding quantum education. How they can support. We touched on, Dr. Yasser touched yesterday, creating standards and frameworks for quantum technologies adoption. We are early stages on the standards creation. And finally, I'm looking at our leadership support in fostering international collaboration. We shouldn't be alone. We're stronger together.
You nailed it, actually. And there's one point that is very, very important, the soft skills, and you mentioned it, because you can be the best in any discipline, but the soft skills, if it's not there, it's a problem, whether it is in cybersecurity or any other. And it's very, very important also to know some of the aspect of the technology is very sensitive. And it's very, very important also to have the codes of conduct and others that are there, and the knowledge of the regulations. It's
the legal
point.
matters.
The legal, yes.
Up your alley.
Exactly. So thank you so much for this great panel, and hope to see all what we talked about, it's happening. And there is one thing. Every time I speak with Professor Hisham and we go for something, it's happening. And we have our results done, an achievement. One of them is every month we are holding the Industry Day, Quantum Industry Day. Sometimes I say, I got tired of it, but actually it's never tired, because we see new people and we see new companies and we see new faces who are the new ambassadors of quantum, who are not coming from the quantum industry. They visit us, and some deals they were done during the Quantum Industry Day. Thank you so much, and great pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Malak. Thank you, Hakim. Thank you, Professor.